Funding for this edition of Life and Living with Joanna Gagis has been provided by New Jersey Sharing Network, dedicated to saving lives through organ and tissue donation. Meridian Health, Health Republic Insurance of New Jersey. NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan. Turn a dream into a degree. Kessler Foundation, changing the lives of people with disabilities. Activus, in cooperation with the American Medicine Chest Challenge. And by NJM, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, and more, with a focus on safety and financial stability. Additional support provided by Melandre Salon and Sulis Spa. Look beautiful, feel beautiful. Promotional support provided by The Record, North Jersey's trusted source, and NorthJersey.com. And by Commerce Magazine.
Welcome to Life and Living. I'm Joanna Gagis. I'm joined in the studio right now by Judge Michael Giles, who is a board member of the New Jersey Sharing Network, but beyond being a board member, has a deeply personal connection with the work of the New Jersey Sharing Network. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tell us first of all, how you heard about the New Jersey Sharing Network, how you decided to get involved.
Well, actually, Randy and I had conversations about...
Randy is your son?
Yes, I'm sorry. And who happened to be a trauma surgeon. In fact, he worked for 7 years across the street at St. Joseph's, right here in Patterson. And he had had a number of conversations with me about becoming an organ donor.
He himself becoming an organ donor? He
himself and me.
And you.
And other members of the family. He encouraged it. He actually participated in a number of surgeries. Dealing with organ transplants, so he was rather passionate about it.
There's Randy, and Randy was a vibrant young man.
He was 43 years old when he passed away, and we miss him. We miss him a lot.
Randy and your life took an unexpected and I'm sure devastating turn when Randy died suddenly from an aneurysm.
Oh yes, it did. It did.
Did you ever know, when you signed up to be a part of the New Jersey Sharing Network in January of 2012, that just later that year, you would be so intimately connected with the program?
Never. As I said, Randy and I had conversations. I met an individual who was also a member of the foundation board. He encouraged me to become a member of the board because there was a need, there still is a need for minority donors, a great need for minority donors.
Why is that?
I think because African Americans, Latinos have old superstitions. I suppose there are racial overtones that pertain, some of the unfortunate circumstances that those folks have had to deal with in their past. They're very suspicious of anyone interfering with what they feel is the natural course of events. We are trying to change those kinds of misconceptions.
So under Randy's guidance and persuasion, you learned about the New Jersey Sharing Network, but what was it for you that made this so powerful that you said, I want to be a board member. I not only want to sign up to donate my organs if anything should happen, but I want to commit my time and my energy to this.
Well, as I say, the individual that I spoke to piqued my interest by virtue of the need he suggested existed. And I just retired. I'd been on the bench for 19 years, and I was looking for things to do. My wife suggested I needed to get out of the house more. So I was looking to serve on a board or one or more boards. And this seemed very interesting and necessary.
Talk about Randy and how his passing impacted the lives of so many.
I can tell you this from a personal standpoint. I mean, when you lose a child, and unfortunately my wife and I have lost both of our children. Randy was one of our 2 children. He was 43 years old when he passed away. And it wasn't until he passed away that I really began to appreciate the effect that being an organ donor can have on the rest of the family.
How?
You feel that his spirit, if you will, continues because we have been advised that, some 20 people or so have been affected very positively, have had their lives extended and enhanced by virtue of his donation.
Do you find any solace? I mean, if there can be any solace, do you find solace in the fact that his passing saved the lives of these others?
Yes, yes. There are no other circumstances that I can think of that might cause me and Mrs. Giles, his mom, to have any degree of solace pertaining to his loss.
Have you had a chance? Have you had a chance to meet any of the people whose lives were impacted by Randy?
The New Jersey Sharing Network Foundation has a process when I should say the process is such that they encourage the donor and the recipient families to, at some time, come together, but they try to leave it to the parties' desires.
Do they leave it to the recipient? Do they leave it to the donor family? Did you feel any impetus to reach out to those who had been affected?
We had, I think, a great need to want to contact some of the recipient families.
But you did get a letter.
I've gotten 2 letters now.
2 letters.
And Randy passed away in August of 2012. We have communicated with the first recipient, a gentleman from Massachusetts, who received one of Randy's lungs. And the letter was quite provocative, and it certainly encourages us to want to continue letter writing, communication by letter, but also I would have no problem, my family would have no problem meeting him.
How did you feel when you got that letter? What was the reaction of you and your wife reading that letter that day?
Comforted. It does relieve some of the grief that I know we feel it every day, and it certainly was a relief. It was very comforting. I've met an individual, in fact, he works at the Sharing Network Foundation with me. He lost his partner. She passed away right here at St. Joseph's, and he had heard the name, but he'd never put the name together with the face of my son until he saw at our annual 5K a photograph of my son. And then he walked up to me and said, "Your son was so nice, and he took such great care of me and my partner before she passed away," and he expressed his appreciation. And it's stories like that that certainly comfort myself and my family.
And she too was an organ donor, and so it seems
yes.
you two have a lot in common now.
Yes.
And is it true that you've remained very close with that gentleman? I believe his name is Dan.
We do. You heard about Dan.
I did hear about it.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Dan and I have become very close. And Dan is a very, very active person in the foundation.
Judge Giles, what do you say to the people watching the program right now who are on the fence about organ donation or feel like it's that thing I'll get to? Someday I'll make a plan to donate my organs. What do you say to them?
I would ask them, I would suggest to them that they should get off the fence, and they should just check the box in whatever form they get. They can contact the Sharing Network Foundation through I understand that our
website,
our website
absolutely.
should be on the screen.
Yes, sir, it is right now.
Make note of it. Contact us. Any questions you might have, ask the questions, because you have no idea how you can enhance or someone else's life by making this wonderful gift.
Judge Giles, you said it perfectly. I couldn't say it any better myself, and I just hope the people watching get out there and take your advice. And thank you so much for sharing your very powerful story with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere. There's more Life and Living coming up right after this.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to tell us about a great New Jersey destination, email us at info@caucusnj.org or visit us on the web at www.lifeandliving.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/joannagagis.lifeandliving and follow us on Twitter at Joanna Gagis.
Welcome back to Life and Living. Joining me now, switching gears dramatically, is Paige Stella Valle, who is the co-owner and designer of Stella Valle, which is a unique jewelry line that you and your sister started. As a matter of fact, we asked Ashley to be here with us. She can't. Where is she right now?
So Ashley's down in D.C. It's a little bit of a trip here up to New Jersey. So she comes up very often. She actually has to be up here this weekend for something. So.
But you girls are Jersey girls.
We are, yes.
And
born and raised.
You have a very unique story, and I was very fascinated by it because you have a fashion line, you have a jewelry line, but you have a military background, and that's, I don't think, something you see too often. How did you first get your start in the military? Let's start there.
So actually Ashley started, she's 5 years older than I am, and she got recruited to swim up at West Point, and she took a recruiting trip up there, and she came home and just told my parents that she felt like she would really regret it if she didn't go. So our family wasn't very familiar with the Army at the time, but she decided to go, and then it kind of started a whole family thing. We have two other sisters besides us, and our one sister also went to West Point besides me, and then we have an older sister that was an Army doctor. So 4 girls all ended up in the Army.
Your parents must be shaking their heads. How did this happen?
Yeah, we still are a little surprised by it, but it was a great experience. So.
How do you go from West Point serving in the military after, because it's a requirement, correct? That everyone serves afterwards.
Right.
How do you go from that as your background to having a jewelry line?
So actually, it's a little unique story. So typically after you graduate from West Point, you have a 5-year minimum obligation, like you said, in the Army. And when I graduated, I wasn't commissioned into the Army because I had a shoulder injury. So at the time, you know, I thought I had my next 5 years planned out of my life, and West Point said that they weren't going to allow me into the Army. So I called up my big sister, who was just about to get out of the Army after she finished her 5-year obligation, and she asked me, well, what do you love to do? You know, what have you always dreamed of? And I said, well, I've always loved fashion. And, you know, growing up, we would always make like jewelry with beads and those kinds of things. So her and I kind of teamed up and we started Stella Valle together.
Stella Valle creates some edgy pieces. You have some right here. In fact, I'm wearing a piece. Tell me about the piece that I'm wearing.
So actually, you're wearing our logo. It's very geometric. It's actually a S and a V, kind of turned a cool, funky way. And what we love about our logo is a lot of people will wear that necklace and they'll be like, I love your necklace. And we're like, thanks. And they don't even know it's our logo, which is cool.
That's true. And I picked it and I had no idea that I was picking the logo. And I love the necklace that you're wearing right now. And this kind of has that military edge. It looks like you've incorporated some of that feel and that style into the pieces.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, military is always so big in fashion. I feel like almost every season it's always seen on the runway. And for us, it's so personal from where Ashley and I came from. So we did a Stella Valle Strong collection is what we named it, and it's all military-inspired pieces. And this is an eagle. It's a little more literal than some of our other pieces. We have bullets and dog tags. Yes, you're wearing.
Is this from the Strong collection also?
So that's called the Freedom Ring, and we just love it. It's funky, but it's still like very patriotic, that collection. So
Absolutely, and it's strong, but still a little bit feminine and fun.
Right.
You have some other pieces. Let's talk about what you brought with you.
Okay. So this is called the Gladys bracelet, and it's from the Nonina Deco collection. All the pieces are Art Deco inspired, and so they're named after inspirational women in Ashley and my life that were born in the 1920s.
Let's see how that looks on, because that looks like a fun piece.
Oh, yes. So this actually was worn at New York Fashion Week on the runway. And you can wear it down your hand like that,
right?
Or you can kind of wear it up your arm,
right? I like
so
it
it's
down
really
the hand.
funky,
It's very fun.
but
now,
a fun piece.
You knew you had. We'll get to the next piece, but you knew you had a great idea, but you needed the funding and you needed some backing for the company.
Right.
So you took to Shark Tank, which is where everyone goes who has a great idea and wants to get funding. How did that experience work? And I know you were the driver of that.
Yeah, so Ashley and I had our company for about 2 years, and we knew that this is the direction we wanted to go, and we were selling, you know, a good amount of jewelry, but we were getting to a point where we just needed extra money to grow the business. So I just applied online, submitted a little email blurb, and we got a phone call, and it kind of started the whole process. So it's been amazing for us. We're very fortunate we got backing.
And you won.
Yeah.
Who backed you?
So we have 2 business partners, Mark Cuban and Lori Grenier.
Well, if Mark Cuban and Lori Grenier put their stamp on what you're doing, you're doing something right. That's for sure.
Thank you.
Let's talk about, I love this necklace right here that has, is that a New York skyline?
Yeah, so this is actually a little sneak peek at a new collection that we have coming out. It's called the F World, and it actually stands for the fashion world. And it's all pieces that are very fashion related. So, of course, New York City is one of the fashion capitals of the world. So this is the New York City skyline.
Okay. We don't have much time left, but I do want to touch on the Celebrate Seaside collection, because that made a big difference for a lot of people.
Yeah, so Ashley and I grew up at the Jersey Shore, and we spent a lot of our summers there. And we actually started designing a collection that was inspired by the boardwalk in Seaside Park, or Seaside Heights. And then Hurricane Sandy happened just as we were releasing the collection. So we dedicated this collection to the victims of Hurricane Sandy. And I brought this ring here. It's called the Lightning Bug Ring. And we just love this collection. It's been one of our best sellers.
And people can find you on your website, StellaValle.com, and of course, the Celebrate Seaside collection not only makes you look pretty and have some fun with jewelry, but you're giving back to the community as well. Paige Stella Valle and your sister Ashley, you're doing terrific things. We're proud that you're New Jersey girls representing us in a bold way. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And don't go anywhere, because there's more Life and Living coming up right after this.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to tell us about a great New Jersey destination, email us at info@caucusnj.org or visit us on the web at www.lifeandliving.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/joannagagis.lifeandliving and follow us on Twitter at Joanna Gagis.
Welcome back. We are joined in the studio now by Ariel Valenti, who is the Burlington County District Manager and Assistant VP at Wells Fargo. The reason we have you here, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you because you are talking to us about something that people may not expect to hear from a Wells Fargo employee, but that is the veteran experience. And you served in the military. Tell us about your service.
I did. I was in the Marines for 4 years, active duty. So it was a very interesting experience. While in the military, I learned so many things. And I've now been out of the military for about 17 years. And I can tell you that I remember those 70-plus days of boot camp as if they happened yesterday.
That stays with you.
For the rest of your life. And it's the way I live my life. And in a very positive manner, the leadership that I learned in those 70-plus days are more than all the seminars and books that I've read for that leadership. So,
how old were you at the time?
I had just turned 19.
You're 19, you're a young adult, you probably didn't know what you wanted to do with your life at the time. shaping who you are, who you're going to be, and here you enter the military, and you say that stayed with you all that time.
It did. It was a very strong experience. To your point, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I did go in there. I was very competitive, middle child of 2 brothers. So I did have that middle child syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it was just a competition. I wanted to be the best. So I decided to go into the Marines. I got in there and I realized it's not really about how physical it is. It's about the mental aspect of it.
Are there things you learned in the Marine Corps that you believe have transferred into your work at Wells Fargo, into your corporate success?
I did. Everything that I do is still based off of what I learned in the Marines. So,
like what? Like what?
Being on time, getting there 15 minutes early, really being awake, inspiring others, motivating others. Give you a prime example. Many times at work, I feel stressed. It can be a little overwhelming at times. And I think back to my military experiences, and I'm like, this is nothing compared to that. Right now, I'm looking to motivate someone. If I make a mistake, I have a lot of apologizing to do, things of that nature. These young men and women in the military, they make a mistake, lives are at risk. So when I put what I do now in comparison to the military, it makes all the difference in the world, and all of a sudden you hear that, it's not too bad.
How about self-discipline? How much of that did you possess before you were in the military, and how do you feel you possess it now?
I feel when I went into the military that I didn't have a lot of it. I can tell you from the few jobs that I had before then, I thought it was okay to call out every day. We just see that recently. We got some snow, unfortunately, if you haven't heard, across this country of ours. So with that snow, we usually, I know my corporation, about 30 to 50% of employees either come in late, go home early, or don't come in at all. And when I compare that to the military, if you're in a stressful situation in the military, which is what they train to do, there are no sick days. There is no calling out. There is no, well, I'm going to go home and I'll be back next week. There is no, I'm going to take a vacation from this. So the disciplines you learn there where you don't want to do it anymore, you're tired, you're stressed, you think about that experience and it's like, let me go that extra mile now.
Would you advise corporations to look for veterans when they're hiring, and why?
Strongly advise them. Right now, with Wells Fargo, the size that we are, we're a leader amongst banks. And I know Wells Fargo is looking to become the employer of choice. I feel like my mission, side mission if you will, within Wells Fargo is to really become a veteran's employer of choice. I know firsthand that leadership that they learn in the military is invaluable. And
is that more valuable than having experience in the banking industry?
I believe that it is.
You do?
And the reason being is 90% of the job, even amongst banks, there's vast differences. Big bank to little bank, the technology used, there's so many differences. At the end of the day, we're in a people organization, but in order to appease our customers, we need strong leaders to really be able to teach. We can't tell a leader everything to do. That has to be inspired by their passion. They have to have good morals, they have to have great ethics, they have to have integrity, everything that you learn in the military.
And Wells Fargo, we should give credit where credit is due, because Wells Fargo has really been a leader in the corporate community in terms of the way that they are honoring and providing services for our military. What are some of the ways that they support people who are in the service right now?
As far as supporting the military members, they have spearheaded an outstanding program. And I know, because I'm usually the biggest critic, to see how much more we can do. So luckily, I do get to voice my opinion, and they do listen. So a lot of things that we do, if someone was in Wells Fargo, for example, and they're making a certain amount of income, and they decide, I want to go be a patriot and help my country and enlist for the military, if there's a difference in pay, I'm just making up a number, let's say they were making $10,000 in Wells Fargo and $5,000 in the military, Wells Fargo supplement that additional $5,000 for the next 2 years.
Wow, so that they can go pursue that dream. Is
Exactly.
it true they'll hold the job for them?
We will. And we will hold it. Not only will we hold the job, the great thing about Wells Fargo is where in many states we have over 7,500 locations. So not only will we hold that job for them, but if they come back, let's say that team member was in New Jersey, and I've seen it because in the military, you get sent so many places. Sometimes you settle down in a new home that wasn't originally your home, and they're able to transfer. So if they want to settle down in Texas, we have a lot of locations in Texas, and they can actually go to Texas.
We need more people supporting our veterans because you are out there saving our lives, you are out there protecting us, and we need to honor you in the way that we see happening right now with Wells Fargo. Ariel Valenti, veteran Marine Corporal, thank you so much for coming here and sharing your story.
Joanne, thank you so much for having me.
Life and Living has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence, and NJTV. Funding for this edition of Life and Living with Joanna Gagis has been provided by New Jersey Sharing Network, Meridian Health, Health Republic Insurance of New Jersey, NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan, Kessler Foundation, Activus in cooperation with the American Medicine Chest Challenge, and by NJM, transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. Life and Living with Joanna Gagis has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System.
I will. It's the oath of those strong in character. A call to build our own dreams, not someone else's. Doing whatever it takes to create a better way. This is Health Republic, a not-for-profit co-op health plan created to give us control of our own health care. So we all have the support we need when it's time to say, I will. Health Republic. Live independently healthy.